G'day everyone. Welcome to Tassie Rules Tasmania's footy show with thanks to DLM Machinery. Great to have your company on this Thursday night. And to quote a famous football media personality, what a big week it has been in football. It continues to be as we speak. Big week in politics, big couple of days in politics, but it is impacting on the football landscape. Where will it land? Well, we will have to wait and see. So, big show coming up tonight. Our club in focus is going to be the Launceston Football Club. Plenty to unpack. And President Scott Stevens will join us on the show as well. And as we talk about what's happening in football around Tasmania and how it may play out, how it's being perceived on the mainland as well. We're going to go to the heart of football in Melbourne. Alistair Nicholson, proud Tasmanian, of course, Channel 7 AFL commentator. He is going to join us on the program as well. So lots to look forward to. Hope you can stick around with us. But firstly, let's bring you up to speed with what's going to be happening because we've got some rep football coming up this weekend. And it kicks off on Saturday at Dial Park, another Tasmanian representative series match. The NWFL are going to be taking on the SFL. We can see there the women's game at 12 p.m, the men's at 2:10. So the South will be coming up. The NWFL, the men went down to the NTFA men a couple of weeks ago at UTES Stadium, and the Northwest Football League women's rep side, they'll be looking to make it 2 from 2 after they defeated the NTFA a fortnight ago as well. More rep football on the weekend as well, and that is going to be up the road, from Dial Park at Ulverston. Ulverston Recreation Ground is going to host the NWFA, Northwest Football Association against the Darwin Football Association. So country football at its best, the best players in those competitions facing off at Ulverston on Saturday. Now, milestones. We've got to congratulate this man. Here he is, Nigel Webb. Last weekend umpired his 600th game. 600 games as an umpire. And congratulations to him. 317 games in the NWFA, 150 in the Darwin Association, 114 in the NWFL, and 18 in the Leven. Now, that competition finished 10 years ago. So you can see how long he's been umpiring for 4 different competitions, but an outstanding effort. So we just wanted to acknowledge Nigel Webb. Umpires are hard to find, and he has stuck with it for a very long time. So a fantastic effort. Now, next Friday night coming up here in Launceston. Massive week. Friday night lights. What a game this is going to be. Hawthorn and the Adelaide Crows. Friday the 13th of June from 7 p.m. Hawthorn's round 14 clash with the Adelaide Crows. It'll be the club's first ever Friday night match in Launceston. So come along. Help celebrate Hawthorn's centenary in the VFL, AFL, and we'll just give you a tip. Be in your seats by 7 o'clock for a very special pre-game ceremony that is going to be taking place. You won't want to miss it, so make sure you get your tickets. It is a huge game. Should be an absolute beauty next Friday night at UTES Stadium, the Hawks and the Crows. All right, we're going to have a quick break. When we come back, thanks to Harrison Agents, our club in focus, it's the Launceston Football Club.
For 30 years, DLM Machinery has kept Tasmania's construction industry moving. As the sole Tasmanian distributors of Cabelco, ASV Positrax and Merlot telehandlers, we offer trusted sales, parts and service with locations in Launceston and Hobart. From excavators to telehandlers, routine maintenance to field repairs, our skilled team has you covered wherever the job takes you. DLM Machinery. Local, reliable, ready when you need us. Get in touch today.
Now, without doubt, other than our AFL team, no competition has dominated the local football scene in Tasmania than the NTFA Premier League. Former TSL clubs, North Launceston and Launceston, are, as expected, dominating the competition. There have been score blowouts happening every week. But for the Launceston Football Club, 2025 is a massive year. They turn 150 years old, Tasmania's oldest football club. And just last Saturday, they cut the ribbon for the opening of their brand new redeveloped Windsor Park Oval, which is looking absolutely magnificent. Scott Stevens, he's one of the favourite sons of Launceston, 212 games with the Blues an NTFL and TFL Premiership captain, senior coach, and now he's the president of the Launceston Football Club as well. He is Launceston through and through. Scotty, nice to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Great to be here, Rick.
Wow, that's quite a resume. And your passion for the Launceston Football Club, obviously, it's been a huge part and continues to be a huge part of your life. But last Saturday, what a historic day it was for your football club. And I think you said as well it was a record-breaking day. Talk us through the day.
Yeah, look, it's been a long time coming, but it's been great to get back to Windsor Park. And, the council and the team that have put that surface together have done a fantastic job. Our boys have been, quite resolute over the summer, training over the back at the Christian school, and it was great to get our West Tamer community and the Launceston Footy Club community together to showcase a great day of NTFA footy. And our boys, they were pretty much ready to go, as you saw by the score line. They were pretty relentless throughout the course of the day, and we had a big win, which was our record score.
Yeah, it was a huge win, and we're looking at some photos now that our viewers can see of the redeveloped ground. It's amazing, and the Baker Group have done some incredible stuff with grounds around the regions as well. But it looks absolutely sensational from a business point of view, as a club point of view. How important was it? Because obviously you haven't had a home ground for a couple of months in terms of roster games, but from a business point of view, I guess having a record day must have been massively helpful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been challenging not having the tills ticking over for the first part of the year from a junior perspective and a senior perspective. But it's now good to get that momentum through the back of the year, and hopefully we can draw some good crowds. We know that we're always going to be playing on a fantastic surface. So, we really would love the community to come down and watch good quality local footy and see our boys put on a bit of a show.
Now, we've gone through the archives. We obviously, as well, thanks to you guys helping produce a documentary on the history. You played Scottsdale last Saturday. We've got a little bit of vision of the first ever game to be played at Windsor Park. Now, have a look at this. This is from 1968, the first game. For those who don't know, Launceston used to play out of York Park along with City South and North Launceston. But have a look at the cars there, Scotty. Back in the day, 1968, we were still stars in the sky, but it's playing against Scottsdale, and obviously a great club, a famous club in footy, but amazing. Thanks to Darren. Darren Geard actually provided this, so off the show reel, and I'm not sure what sort of jumpers they are that the kids have got, but there you go. Some footage from 1968 at Windsor Park.
Certainly some great footage. And it's quite ironic that we played Scottsdale again in our return to Windsor Park on Saturday, and it was good to see kids there in that vision. It was just like what we had there on the weekend. Our junior footy club were a part of the day. Really creating some atmosphere for our senior boys, and it was great fun had by all.
Certainly did. Now, I mentioned in the intro, it's a very big year for the club this year, turning 150, Tasmania's oldest football club. We'll pop up the details on the screen, but Saturday the 12th of July, there are the details. The club is going to celebrate a significant milestone. It'll be a gala dinner at the Tail Race Centre in Riverside. There's a QR code on your screens now. This is going to be a very special night, and obviously we're going to get a lot of family generations as well that have played with the Blues, and many of who we've interviewed with the doco, but this is going to be quite a night for the club.
Yeah, it really is our showpiece for our 150th year celebration. And really looking forward to getting in the room and, sort of kicking back and having a drink and sharing some old memories with, some of the past greats and some of the current greats. And it really will be a great night for the whole club and everyone involved.
Now, you have been part of some incredible teams as a player and a coach. The NTFA Premier League, dominated by yourselves and North Launceston, which most would have expected, obviously, coming back from the TSL. How are you as a club finding this? It's a huge adjustment, but how have you found it so far in season 2025? Because obviously it's dominated the football media landscape right around Tasmania.
Yeah, look, it certainly comes with its challenges, and obviously the scoreboard, does tell the story. North and I and Launceston, we are in similar positions. However, with us being second and being towed up by them, on Good Friday by 80 points, we've got some real motivation, to bridge that gap towards them. As have those other clubs. We played Longford the other week and we were slightly, off centre, and they really pushed us. Which should give that club, some real confidence going forward. Now, our boys that are in our team this year, it was only 2 years ago in the TSL that, we were on the other end of, some, 10 plus goal defeats. But it just goes to show, with the right resources, the right mindset, attitude, and commitment levels, that you can improve. And these kids do improve rapidly, and that's what we're employing on, South and Longford and Deloraine and Scottsdale, just to put those processes in place, and they will naturally bridge that gap very quickly.
There was an announcement last Friday from NTFA President Peter Gutwin around a package for clubs specifically for Deloraine and Scottsdale, and then a smaller one for Longford and South Launceston. Was that enough? Do you think that's going to help bridge that gap that you're talking about?
Oh, you'd like to think it'll narrow the gap. They've certainly got some challenges ahead of them. They probably need to think outside the box and think, how can we make this work? Whether it's Launceston training bases or anything like that. We need to be seeing that we're doing something, to bridge that gap. So obviously North Launceston and Launceston have given up a lot. So we've been supportive of it, but we want it reviewed, which Peter has agreed to. At the end of the 2026 season. So we need to be mindful of that as well.
There's some great clubs, and I'll say clubs. They might not be getting it on the score, but we think of Longford, we think of Scottsdale, and obviously Deloraine and South Launceston being a part of that as well. Do you think it was the right thing for Tasmanian football with the structure that we've got at the moment? There'll be a part B to that question with what's going on in the political landscape at the moment. But when you look back now, there was a lot of argy-bargy, particularly when this was announced. But now that we're into it, can you see a silver lining that this is a good move for Tasmanian football with the structures that are going to come into play, particularly with the VFL and VFLW next year?
Look, it's been well publicised. North Launceston and Launceston, we're against it. We've have always been a side that's continued to strive to challenge our players and push them to play at the highest possible level. Look, and it's no secret the TSL, it wasn't getting the public support, in its latter years. So change was potentially needed, but we just felt it was slightly premature. Had there been a VFL team for us to walk straight into, that would have been maybe a smoother transition into a regional comp, but that wasn't the case. So we've just got those gap years which are quite ugly and untidy, which we've had to navigate our way through. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, we've been able to push some kids towards the mainland to try and reach their goals of either playing at state league level footy, in the Sandful VFL or QAFL, or even try and get on a list as a mature age.
So this is completely hypothetical and may not happen, but I'm just thinking out loud here. If this dream of having our own AFL team, and as we sit here today, we don't know what on earth is going to happen in the political landscape and what the ramifications might be. But Brendan Gale has publicly said if we don't have a stadium, we could be out of a job. Have you given any early consideration on what you think might actually happen to the football structure here in Tasmania as a state with the competitions? Could we be doing a complete 360, or have we gone too far to go back? Because as you said, you've gone with your blessing. A lot of these young and mature age players have moved.
It's an interesting space. It really is, Rick. Look, AFL Tas would have to be thinking behind the scenes about, if this does fall over, what the plan B is. To be honest, it doesn't sound like there is a plan B. And Brendan's made that pretty clear.
Exactly, because when you think about it, the restructure, this stadium is not approved at this stage. There was always, and I still think it's a very slight possibility that this isn't going to proceed. I think there'll be a way forward, but if it doesn't, what is that going to do to the landscape? Are we going to be in for change again, or are we going to push forward? So that's not something that anyone's aware of at this stage.
We're going to have to continue to push forward, but we need to challenge our kids. So we need to provide a level of football with them that allows them to play at that highest possible level, or that pathway that gets them to the AFL. And if it's not the AFL, then it needs to be in a VFL Sandful competition. We can't have our kids leaving our shores to go and play footy elsewhere because we can't provide. It's just not good enough, and it's not acceptable, and we won't stand for it.
It's a good point because, look, we've got the VFL and VFLW coming in. Where does that sit? We just have to wait how the politics plays out today anyway.
Well, the VFL teams, it's in the hands of the footy club, and the footy club's in the hands of the politics. And geez, that's just a mess at the moment. So,
It is.
watch this space.
Watch this space indeed. Well, there's been a lot happening with your footy club, and I think you've handled it very well. And it's great to see that yourselves and North Launceston are trying to help these clubs as well and getting around a table and all getting on well for the betterment of future. But Scott Stevens, thanks for coming in. Congratulations on what you and your board and your club have done, because it's outstanding, the redevelopment. And having seen a lot of the work over the last few months down there at the club as well, and what you're doing for regional footy, because we've got to get it right. And it's good to see that the clubs here in the NTFA and the Premier League, there's a big gulf at the moment, but there is work being done to try and bridge it. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for the contribution you're making. And let's see what happens in the next 24 hours.
Thanks, Rick.
Good on you. That's Scott Stevens joining us, president of the Launceston Football Club, for this week's Club in Focus, with thanks to Harrison Agents. Back in a moment.
HST Tree Specialists. We are the industry leaders in vegetation management in Tasmania. Our services include tree solutions, hazardous vegetation removal, and project consultations. We are committed to eliminating vegetation-based risk in Tasmania while being sensitive to environmental impact, with a strong focus on health and safety practices. And from large-scale government and commercial projects, small private arboriculture jobs, and equipment hire, MyTas recommends HST.
For 30 years, DLM Machinery has kept Tasmania's construction industry moving. As the sole Tasmanian distributors of Kobelco, ASV Positrax and Merlot telehandlers, we offer trusted sales, parts and service with locations in Launceston and Hobart. From excavators to telehandlers, routine maintenance to field repairs, our skilled team has you covered wherever the job takes you. DLM Machinery. Local, reliable, ready when you need us. Get in touch today.
Well, our next guest is a proud Tasmanian, passionate about his home state and, of course, our entry into the AFL. Well, as we speak, it is still at risk of potentially not going ahead. It's staggering to believe. We've got to see what unfolds in Parliament, but Alistair Nicholson is one of the country's great sports broadcasters. We see him, of course, on the Olympics, cricket, the AFL, the list goes on. And as I said, he's a very proud Tasmanian, and it is a great pleasure to welcome back to the show Alistair Nicholson. G'day, Al. Nice to see you again.
Great to be with you, Rick. Thanks for having me.
And the weather looks as good as it does in Launceston today from where you are.
Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Here in Melbourne, mate, if we get a day in Melbourne as good as the typical day in Launceston or northwest Tasmania or southern Tasmania, you're doing very well, I can tell you.
Well, we're going to have you down here next week because, of course, first ever Friday night game in Launceston next Friday night. I'm looking forward to being out there on the ground, probably the puffer jacket on, but no doubt that'll be exciting for you to be coming back down to your home state to call a Friday night game.
Yeah, it's awesome when you think about those games that have been going on down there since 2001. I actually think it might be the same two teams that played the first ever game.
Correct.
For premiership points in Launceston, who are going at it on Friday night of next week. So big game too. Adelaide have been playing really well. Let's see how the Hawks go against the Western Bulldogs tonight, Rick. But that'd be pretty much sold out, I'd imagine, for a Friday night there in Launceston next week. It'll be huge.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of what's going to be coming up. We'll be sharing that next week, but it's going to be a heck of a night. It'll be a great celebration in Hawthorn's centenary year. Al, the news of the last couple of days. Obviously, there's a lot going on in Tasmanian Parliament at the moment. We don't know where that's going to sit as we chat now. But what's your reaction? You've obviously been following this a little bit from over in Victoria. But what's your reaction, and what have you heard, I guess, in the AFL circles from a fellow broadcaster that you may have spoken to?
Look, my reaction to it, Rick, is it's another speed hump in the road. Naturally, it's disappointing. It adds fuel to fires that people want to light around negativity towards a Tasmanian team. But I think it's very clear this situation is that you have a premier at the moment who backs the Tasmanian team and backs the stadium, and you have a potential new premier who also strongly backs the team and backs the stadium. So there's a lot to play out. If a government gets toppled, it's obviously times of uncertainty. Do they go to another election potentially? Perhaps there's a majority returned if that's the case, and then the path to a stadium can become clearer. What it does do is potentially delay things a little bit, but I'm not too concerned about that. It's always been known that Tasmania would play out of existing stadiums for the first year in 2028. If that needs to be pushed back slightly, I cannot see how the AFL, in all good conscience, could deny Tasmania a licence on the basis that the stadium couldn't be delivered on time. There has to be a little bit of leeway, particularly when you consider the circumstances here and the fact that a government could be toppled. And let's be honest, that this motion that's been put before Parliament has nothing to do with the stadium, and Dean Winter's made that very clear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. We hear about the North and the South, and still, I'm hearing politicians and that talking about it, but I don't see or hear it. I hosted a function with Brendan Gale last Friday down at Devonport, and the positivity around what it's going to do for the hospitality industry, for so many industries that are employed. And do we need to do those that are pro Tasmania maybe need to get a bit louder, Al? Because I look at it pretty simply. The revenue that's going to be coming in from AFL games, and not only AFL games, but everything that's going to come with it, conferences, etc., that's going to have a flow-on effect to other industries is enormous. It's not infrastructure that's just going to sit there for services, like a bridge, for example. This is actually going to bring in revenue. Do we need to get louder? Because we seem to be hearing a lot from people who don't want it.
I think that's always an issue. People who are for things, the tendency is to be quieter on issues and let them play out. If you're really opposed to something, and I think that there's a section of the Tasmanian community that has always been very proactive. Your hobby might be to go to the football on the weekend, Rick. There are probably a few people in Tasmania who enjoy the political side of things, and that's where they expend their energy and generate their sense of reward in life. It's not something that I've ever really thought about as being something that I think's of great interest. This is something that people need to get noisy about because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Tasmania's been fighting for this for decades and decades. We finally got the opportunity. It's right there in front of us. And if you care about it, I think you should speak up. I think you should reach out to parliamentarians and those who, potentially are representing you but don't represent the view that you have on this stadium. Let them know how you feel, because otherwise, I don't think there's any risk to this happening, but it would be a horrible shame if something didn't go down the way we want it to and people didn't have their say. So, I just think that this has to happen. There is so much good to be drawn from it. There is already so much good happening from it, Rick. Participation numbers are up. You look at what the Tasmanian Academy of Leadership and Sport is doing across Tasmania, offering opportunities for young people. And this is all before a ball's even been kicked. So I think people need to open their horizons, not be narrow-minded, and appreciate that there are benefits that extend far beyond just games of football here that are at stake for Tasmanians. And also in the construction phase, that's an enormous number of jobs. We've just seen the Bridgewater Bridge completed. That provided people with a lot of employment, and the stadium's going to do the same. Yes, it's very expensive. I understand that, and I understand why people might be a little concerned about that outlay, but this will return in economic revenue and economic benefits year on year for generations. And I think we should aspire to have the best things in Tasmania. Why should Tasmania not have things that other great states have?
Couldn't agree more. Said it perfectly. Now, we know that 2026, at this stage, the plan is having our VFL and VFLW side. We're going to see football at UTAS Stadium. And your old stomping ground, of course, your hometown of Penguin at the magnificent Dial Park, we know is going to get some of this content as well. So we know that regional football in Tasmania, and I'm sure you're aware, has been impacted massively. The TSL that you used to commentate every week for ABC TV is gone. The impact that this could have, we have so many young boys and girls already, as you mentioned, in academies. The incredible work that Brendan Gale, Kath McCann, Grant O'Brien, incredible individuals, backed by a wonderful board and other staff members that have just come on board recently. We can't risk that, can we? I mean, we've got these academies that kids are already in, striving to play for their own state.
Spot on, Rick. And the opportunities that exist for young people through either the pathway system or just purely having heroes to aspire to that are in their backyard every day, who show a level of professionalism to get better in everything that they do every day, is something that filters down into communities. I mean, I think Hawthorn and North Melbourne playing games in Tasmania has been a really good thing for a lot of years, but it has largely been a fly-in, fly-out model. This is having these heroes in your backyard every day, coming to your school, inspiring you to get the best out of yourself, inspiring you to lift your horizons, to do better at school. Tasmania's literacy and numeracy, we know that there are issues around that. This lifts the bar on all fronts. It's not just a football team. So, yeah, as I say, I understand the outlay associated with the stadium, but people need to consider what are the social impacts and the economic benefits of having it far broader than having a football team that runs out and plays for premiership points on the weekend. This team has the capacity to stretch out into every little corner of Tasmania and have a positive impact on the way people perceive themselves and on the way people have opportunities in life to get the best out of themselves. So, yeah, as I say, mate, this is not just about football. This is about opportunities for young people and giving people the opportunities they deserve in Tasmania, like every other state.
Exactly. And they're going to support the regional competitions, the regional clubs. It all comes filtered through into all the regions as well. It's going to be an interesting little sideshow to see how this all plays out over the next 24 hours or so, because nothing is certain in politics. You talk about, as we wrap it up, our fly in, fly out. Great segue, speaking of flies, coming down here to Tasmania, a bit of time for fly fishing and a bit of golf down here next week.
I would absolutely love to go for a fish. Probably not the right time of year, Rick, but last season wasn't particularly good on the fly fishing front. Word out of the locals is that the cormorants knocked a few.
Oh, are they?
So hopefully next year it'll be much, much better. But yeah, I've got my sights set on maybe a hit at the Launceston Golf Club next week, and then maybe sneak to Barnbougle. And I mean, and this is the other element. Tasmania has so much to offer, and football can be one part of that. But what Matthew Goggins done in the south with the new golf course, it looks absolutely amazing. Barnbougle's the envy of the world in lots of ways. And I just think Tasmania has so much to offer, and sometimes football can be that thing that might make someone who didn't have the inclination to go to Tassie go, well, let's go and spend a week down there. And obviously there are economic benefits from that. So I love the place, and I want to see this happen because I think, one, we deserve it. 2, will be very successful, and 3, it's going to be an enormous thing for Tasmania, the whole of Tasmania, to get behind.
Alistair Nicholson, great to have you with us. Proud Tasmanian, as we said. Penguin boy, doing great things. Look forward to seeing you down in Launceston next Friday. It's going to be a pretty special night, and let's hope you strike the golf ball well as well. Great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
I look forward to catching up, Rick. Thank you very much, mate.
Good on you. That's Alistair Nicholson, Channel 7 AFL commentator and proud Tasmanian here on the show. That is it for this week. Thank you very much for your company. It's been great to have you with us. Thanks for all your contributions. We look forward to seeing you on Tassie Rules, Tasmania's Footy Show next Thursday night.